Good morning, and thanks for joining me this morning. I'm excited that you have decided to join us in pursuit of building your strongest asset, not just your people, but your leadership, the people who deserve training and development to be their very, very best. And so I'm glad that you can be here today. My name is Dane Bowerly. I am here in San Antonio, Texas, and I do want to share a little background about my business history, which may help you. In some form, I have been developing leaders for almost 25 years. 10 of those years, my first 10 years in a leadership role, I did what's called trial by fire development. I was reading books and articles and studying on my own and trying ideas and trying different ways, not only to develop myself, but also the managers whom I was supporting. And I experienced moderate success, but there was no pattern and there was no development process. It was random. And over the last 15 years, I pursued the academia or the insight to have a system that we can develop leaders to become even more effective with some of the greatest challenges they face. So today's title is called How to Build a Leadership Development Program in Your Business. I'm sharing insights from my last 15 years, the more successful years of developing leaders, to help you consider building your own program, whether you do it on your own or choose to work with someone like myself. But I want to share the insights that may help you in order to be able to build more and stronger successful leaders. So there are three parts to the presentation I want to share with you today. And the first part starts with the question, where do today's managers come from? So anytime we want to improve performance, the very first question we want to ask is, where are we now? And so it's important that we recognize where managers come from today. The Gallup organization reports that 8 out of 10 individuals holding a leadership responsibility have gotten there internally or have been promoted from within. And so when we ask the question, where do today's managers come from? I often ask, do you have an MBA? And certainly 4 or 5 people will raise their hand over time, but most people leave their hand down. But when I clarify MBA, what I mean there is manager by accident. What do I mean by manager by accident? Manager by accident is somebody who's in the right place at the right time, has been doing a very good job at their job, being the doer and executed. Great customer service or great sales, showing up on time with a smile and been friendly to deal with, produced great results. Sometimes it could be the son or the daughter of a business, and sometimes it could just be the last person standing. But with a pat on the back from the boss and a big smile, oftentimes we hear the words, good luck, go get them. You now are in charge of a team of 10 or 12 or 30. And oftentimes that's the last development we get, is that pat on the back. And so it's important that we recognize when developing leaders, we call them managers, we call them supervisors, we call them team leads. We may call them chief executive officers, but it's important to recognize where many or most leaders have come from, which is manager by accident, earning their way from doer into the responsibility of being in charge or in the charge of individuals or a team. My background was that way. I started in high school, started washing cars, and the oil change man didn't show up one day, and all of a sudden I was changing oil. No experience. And a week later, I was the oil change manager. I didn't know what that meant, but at the age of 16, I was managing 4 other technicians, and I had no experience. In college, I was a waiter at a steakhouse in Seguin, and the bar manager didn't show up one day, and they asked a college kid, which was me, if I wanted to run the bar for the day. And of course, my answer was yes. I was in college, and it sounded great. And a week later, I was the manager of the bar. No experience, except my resume said I was a maintenance manager. And all of a sudden, I was a manager by accident. Didn't have any direction, trial by fire, and we figured it out. So as I built this organization, I said there's got to be a better way to do this. And recognizing that when you're developing leaders, many of us have very little to no actual training in getting results through others. So the second part we want to talk about is what skills then are needed if many or most of us have come from that background. What skills are needed to effectively get results through others? That's the greatest challenge that leaders face, is I used to be the doer, but now I've got to get results through others, which we define as effective leadership. Now, my dad was a high school football coach for nearly 20 years. And if you've ever played any sports before, I am sure that you heard the phrase, you win when you execute the fundamental basics. That's one that resonated through our house over and over again. And my dad parlayed that into about anything else in life. You win when you execute the fundamental basics. However, what I've found with leadership is that there are fundamental basics that regardless, whether you're brand new to leadership or 100 years in leadership, there are a set of fundamental skills that if we focus, that we can always continue to develop them. There is a continual never-ending process of development with these fundamental skills. So on your worksheet there for you, right in the middle, what are the fundamental skills that leaders need, regardless of title, that can continue to help them get greater results? So the first is increasing productivity. And increased productivity is taking your current team, those whom you work with or report to you, and helping them capture more of their potential. We've all heard an employee say, but boss, I'm giving you 110%. And mathematically, we know that's not possible. But unless we're wheeling our employees to their car each night on a wheel dolly from pure exhaustion, there's an opportunity, I say that jokingly, but there is an opportunity to tap into potential, for your employees to give a stronger effort. Effort is what we call engagement, because they want to and not because they have to. Fundamental skill number one is increasing productivity. Fundamental skill number two, communicating effectively. Not communicating more, but communicating effectively. And the analogy we use there is with my hands clasping together. It's understanding each other. We've gotten in an age where text message and email has become a primary mode of communication, yet there's such an opportunity for misunderstanding when that happens. Imagine if we can increase your leaders' abilities to connect and understand each other, and the number of problems that would be reduced. Next is time management and delegation. There are only 24 hours in a day. And the question is, what allows one person to produce 2 or 3x each hour a day? How can they be more productive in the exact same time slot? And so time management techniques and the art of delegation, choosing the right items to delegate and train, and focusing on high payoff activities where the greatest reward can be received. Next is motivating people. For those of us who came from an MBA background, not from the college, but from the School of Hard Knocks, motivation might come from what I saw my football coach do or a teacher do. But there actually is art and science to understanding motivation, fear-based motivation or incentive-based motivation, self-based motivation. All leadership need to have an understanding of how to create a motivational environment for their employees to succeed. All right, moving down our list, if you're taking your list here, clarifying goals and expectations. This isn't about necessarily setting more goals, but teaching your leaders how to achieve goals is just as important. We all know we're supposed to have goals. Unfortunately, many of us can raise our hand and say, we don't always hit that target. But with the proper process in pursuing and achieving goals, we get to say the magic words, I did it, more often. Coming down the list, your managers, your supervisors, your chief executives are now coaches and trainers. Your business card should say coach, because the days of the boss, B-O-S-S, the boss is dead. We are now coaches and we are trainers. Bossing or telling people what to do is a thing of the past. We are here to support, train, develop, and produce champions. And so how do we do that? We're told to train our employees, but do we know how? And so let's learn that fundamental skill. Let's lump decision-making and problem-solving together. Think of the hours, the time, the stress, the anxiety that come in making decisions, or fear of making decisions, the mistakes. Are there going to be consequences? So how can we train our leaders to be even more effective and efficient at getting the best possible outcomes? And finally, bringing all of this together, that a team is not just a number of people who clock in under your name, but that produce a greater outcome for the organization. We call these the fundamental skills for success. Again, whether you're brand new to leadership or 100 years in, each skill listed here on your worksheet is something that can continue to evolve and can continue to progress. There's a law of nature, and it says that in nature, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. So if you think of an apple growing on a tree, it's either green and growing or ripe and rotting. It doesn't just stay right or ripe. And the same with leadership development or developing leaders. Our job is to continue to grow, or we rot. And so these are the skills that you continue to develop and work with your team members so that they can produce greater results and that people want to work for them. So the third thing, first was, where do managers come from? Second, what are the fundamental or foundational skills? The third thing we want to ask ourselves, is there a better way? Is there a better way to train than what we've seen in the past, or to develop people? You know, what we're talking about with leadership development is human behavior change. Help me finish this sentence, if you will. Humans are creatures of habits. How did you know that? The way you knew that is because it's a habit. Habits are hard to change. They've gotten us to our success level, but they will also hinder us from that next step. So to get the greatest results with your team, we want to look at a different approach. Rather than a traditional workshop or a traditional seminar, we've all attended a workshop or a seminar where it was super exciting and great content, great information. Even jump in your car and squeeze the steering wheel and maybe say, it's a new day. But if you attended that workshop on a Monday, by Friday, many times you're right back to doing the same things. It's not because you're not motivated and not interested, because humans are creatures of habit. So as you're training your team and developing them, it's important you understand it takes time. And so some things for you to consider that we use that you may consider as you're developing a program is to break the sessions or the training times into smaller bite-sized chunks. So an example of our best-selling program, we only meet with our participants for 2 hours maximum for each session, trying to avoid the information overload and so that our tails can handle it. We focus on one subject rather than multiple subjects. So that's something for you to consider as you work with your people. But also having multiple sessions, meaning that you can come back next week or in 2 weeks, same day, same place, and follow up. The term there is accountability, which is so often overlooked. Helping your team implement the new ideas and experience success. Remember, accountability is not catching them doing it wrong. Accountability is helping them win. And so be there for them the next week and the next week and the next week. Also, it's important to understand that humans learn in different styles. And so part of our process includes a training that includes some reading, some listening, and also some writing. 3 of the 5 senses are impacted. We call multi-sensory integration. Each learner learns in a different style, and we find this to be most effective, so maybe you will too. Next on your list is experiential learning. And oftentimes in training, that means that you're going to go on a ropes course or walk over hot coals, and that's not what I mean by this. What I mean is, as you introduce a new idea or a new concept, allow your team to head out and use the ideas immediately, experience the ideas, and have them report on their successes, their stumbles, the challenges they face with the ideas or the concepts. But challenge them to implement the ideas. Be specific about how they may implement them. And the last thing is to encourage, as you train your teams, to focus on measurable results through the skills that we listed back on the previous slide. Oftentimes those skills are considered soft or hard to measure. But however, if I increase my communication, my effective communication, will that help me retain or reduce my turnover, retain my employees or reduce my turnover? And can I track that? And so we can see it work through. And so try to tie the softer skills into tangible, predetermined goals and results that you can go through. So there are three key concepts that we have looked at over the last 15 years and being very successful in moving managers into leaders, again, regardless of title, and being very effective at getting results through others. And so I wanted to share the insight because my mission is to help others achieve more of their God-given potential. And so if I can help you do that, we'd be happy. But if I can help you do it on your own, we'd be happy to do that also. So on your worksheet, you'll notice at the very bottom, I've offered you an opportunity to book a call with me directly. If you're looking to put together a leadership development program, you want to do it by yourself, or you'd like to consider working with somebody, I'm happy to put a strategy call together with you and provide insights and experiences that may help you succeed even more. My name is Dane Bowerly. I thank you for your time and attention today, and please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great day.